Good morning. So I know it's the middle of the night. I'll explain in a little bit. But for now, our NFL draft preview continues today with a look at USC and a bunch of young men who hope to prove that they can still be professional athletes despite having served under the woeful ineptitude of Clay Helton. Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. By the time you see this clip, I will likely be drooling all over some poor sap in the seat next to me at American Airlines. See, I'll be flying back to work in Omaha. And by the way, if you hear me start rambling about what I'd like to do with a bottle of maple syrup and my wife in the dark, clearly I'm hallucinating and no longer talking about SC. My bad. We added new subscribers yesterday. That was fantastic. Thank you for joining in. If you like the content we've been putting out, then by all means, clickety-clack the like button, clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. Sharing is caring. We produce a new video usually between 9 and 10 every day. And oh, by the way, comment. I'm not God. I don't know everything. Before we get to the main topic of USC football, let's go through the scoreboard and the notes from around LA. Yesterday, Walker Buehler pitched a complete game shutout. It's the first complete game in Major League Baseball this year. Dodgers 4, Arizona nothing. In the meantime, the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks will continue their series in Arizona later tonight. Let's talk about the LA Kings for a moment. They are literally 1 point away from qualifying for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, they're not playing tonight, but they can still clinch it tonight if the Vegas Golden Knights lose in regulation to the Dallas Stars in a game tonight in Dallas. The Kings are in. Something to watch out for. The Dodgers, here's something that's kind of interesting. Trevor Bauer, the starting pitcher, who hasn't pitched since summer of last year, he is suing the woman who accused him of sexual assault last year. The case just continues to get a little stranger. I'm trying to find the right word. The woman allegedly, according to Bauer's lawyers, the woman allegedly texted a friend saying that they were going to be able to travel Europe in style once this whole thing was through. Basically, what Bauer's been trying to establish throughout this whole thing is that this woman basically wasn't assaulted and was basically trying to create something where she could sue him for millions or settle a case out of court for millions. Now, honestly, I've been saying this all along. I wasn't in that hotel room. I have no idea what to say about it. So most of that stuff, I'm keeping my mouth shut because let's be real, everybody involved is lawyered up. I haven't. I don't want to be inside a courtroom. LAFC has signed Nathan Ordaz, the fourth homegrown that the Black and Gold have signed from their academy. He's a forward. He's probably going to wind up playing in Las Vegas. By the way, ESPN's MLS Power Rankings have both LAFC at number 1 and the Galaxy at number 2. It's a good time to be an Angelino if you like soccer. USC football, before we get to the draft talk, running back Marion Peterson. He's from Texas. He is committed. He's class of 2023, so he won't be joining the Trojans this fall, but next. USC women's basketball, this is actually a little heartwarming. Aaliyah Gales, she officially signed her letter of intent to play for the Trojans 1 week after being shot 10 times at a Vegas house party. Ugly story, but still with a bit of a happy ending. Good for her. Let's talk about the NFL draft. Now, we're spending the entire week talking the NFL draft. Yesterday, we talked about UCLA's prospects. Go ahead and find the clip if you want to know about what we think about what's going to happen with the Bruins. Today, we're going to USC. Wednesday, we'll go with the Rams strategy. What will the Rams be doing for the playoffs? And then, of course, Thursday, we move on to the Chargers. Now, for the USC class, it's clearly led by wide receiver Drake London. He may even be the best receiver in the draft. He's probably going to be the first one taken. He's 6'5", 219 pounds. He reminds scouts of a former USC great, Michael Pittman. Now, London caught 88 passes last year for 1,084 yards and 7 touchdowns before an ankle injury ended his season. The ankle has allegedly healed. Scouts say he's a red zone weapon, and that's really important. We see a lot of jump balls thrown in the corner of the end zone. That height, he excels at hauling in the pass over a defensive back's head. And the analogy of the jump ball actually makes a lot of sense, because he also played for the Trojans basketball team, and there is a belief that he learned body positioning there, basically like boxing out, if you will, like you would in the basketball court. Multiple mock drafts have him coming off the board to the Jets at number 10 overall. Now there's a lot of intriguing players for the Trojans. The next highest Trojan prospect is definitely one of those examples of somebody who's intriguing, Drake Jackson. Now, he started out as a defensive end as a freshman, right? Then they changed the entire defense as a sophomore. They asked him to get with the program. He drops 20 pounds in order to become an outside linebacker. And then in the junior year, he lines up across from the offensive tackle in a 3-4. So he's been going back and forth. He's extremely versatile. And that's what makes him intriguing. Because if you're a defensive coordinator, if you're a defensive coordinator and you like to run the 4-3, well, then you put Drake Jackson on the outside as a defensive end. But what if you're a defensive coordinator who likes the 3-4? Well, then you're sitting there going, okay, let's put him at outside linebacker. Both cases, the dude is rushing the quarterback. If you're a scout, though, not a defensive coordinator, if you're a scout, you're wondering, with all the position changes, with all the things the Trojans asked him to do, with the weight fluctuating from upper 270s to low 250s, you're saying, what exactly is this guy? And where does he slot? So that might actually affect his draft status. And all we see about him in these previews is about him going after the quarterback. If you're a scout, you're wondering, does he stop the run? Now, I've seen mock drafts with Drake Jackson going as high in the second round, both to Green Bay and Atlanta. Now, the rest of the Trojans, you might not hear about them until late in the draft. Now, Keante Ingram, he'd be considered a steal by many people who obsess over the draft. Even if he went as late as the 5th round, he would be a steal, a lot of these draftniks say. He starts off his college career in Texas, right? But he wound up losing playing time as his career went on. Now, I can't say for sure why. I don't watch a lot of Texas football. The guess it seems about obvious is you lose playing time as a running back due to fumbling. But he didn't fumble at USC. He only fumbled one time. He was not fumble prone. And what he did do, he rushed for 911 yards. He rushed for 5 touchdowns. So, yeah, he could make a name for himself as a running back in the NFL. The knock on him is he's too prone to bounce to the outside instead of trying to find the hole on the inside between the tackles. I've seen a mock draft. He may go to Tennessee in round 5. Trojan cornerbacks Chris Steele and Isaac Taylor Stewart. My apologies. They're both rated as potential 6th-round selections. Multiple people think that Steele, that his best shot is if he gets drafted by a team that runs a lot of zone. Okay? Taylor Stewart is described as somebody who can get lost in coverage, but just on his athletic ability alone, he has large upside. So theoretically, the idea is to draft him at least to be a special teams gunner. Steele was listed in a mock draft going to San Francisco in the 6th, and Taylor Stewart to Buffalo, same round. From there, things get significantly iffy. I saw one mock draft that thought the Rams would take the punter Ben Griffiths in the 7th round. Now, if I tried to break down punting technique, you would know I was full of garbage, so I'm not going to go there. Why bother? Also, safety Isaiah Polamau might get his name called. That's iffy. It's not a whole lot to say about his draft stock that I could find. But having said that, overall, we're talking about some intriguing players coming out of USC. The sure thing is Drake London. Everything else, you're looking at potential steals. So despite the fact that the Trojans may have fielded their all-time worst team, there's still a very legitimate chance that these guys could make an impact at the so-called next level. What do you think? Look forward to hearing it. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, thank you. By all means, like and subscribe. We're still trying to build up that following here. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm James. Thanks for watching. Faithful Angelenos is a Keante El Queso production. Have a good morning. Bye-bye.